The Immortal John Hancock here, and today I'm sharing some of my favorite classic video games that I like to revisit. We all have our favorites that we go back to, those games that we either grew up with or have a connection to. In today's video, I'm sharing some of my very favorite classic video games. Let's check it out. First up is Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Super Ghouls and Ghosts is an imperfect game, even with the original Slowdown. Back in the early 90s. It was an early Super Nintendo release. I absolutely love this game. I drooled over the photographs in game magazines before this came out. Once I got to experience it in person, you know, being a huge fan of the series, especially the 2D Ghosts and Goblins series, I fell in love with the brilliant colors, the fantastic music, the animation, the enemies, the bosses, the challenges. This is a game that I definitely keep coming back to. If you're looking for one of the better early Super Nintendo releases on the console, look no further than Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Slowdown and all. Up next is Donkey Kong for the original Game Boy. Donkey Kong is a perfect example of how amazing Nintendo is with portable games. And what they did is they took the original arcade Donkey Kong and adapted it to the strength of the Game Boy and offered not only the original arcade experience, but 97 additional levels. After the first 4 levels, which honor the original arcade game, it really gets into the strength of this title. It's a fantastic puzzle platform. You have over 100 levels to figure out. You grab the key of each level to unlock the door of each level, and this is where this game shines. I had this game back in the day. Lots of extra moves, and it just becomes a totally different game. I absolutely love this title. Pretty much the 2600 is something I grew up with, and this is the game, one of my very first home video games that I played other than Pong. And the 2600 port of the arcade game Space Invaders is amazing. You know, I actually played it so much. It's a good example of something that you play so much that you start to like it more than the arcade game. Now, you know, it's far from perfect, but it's just a fantastic game. I can play this over and over again. It's something that put the 2600 on the map. You know, the 2600 when it came out struggled a bit, but once this was released, it really showed that the 2600 could do an amazing job of porting arcade games. Lots of different modes. This is something that I still play today. There's countless ways of checking this out. If you're looking for an iconic original classic arcade game and you want to play the home port of it, look no further than Space Invaders for the Atari 2600. Up next is a very positive childhood memory of mine, the Legendary Axe 2 for TurboGrafx. The Legendary Axe 2 really is a lot different than the previous game on the TurboGrafx, but I really enjoyed it because, you know, I had this as a kid, and this is where kind of a memory connects to a positive experience. Therefore, I probably like this game more than most, just because when I had a TurboGrafx 16, which my mom purchased on clearance at Toys R Us with very little money, I think the console was like $40 or something really cheap, and this was a game on clearance with it. And so I remember getting this game back in the day, early 90s, and I really enjoy it to this day. You have weapons, you have like a bomb that you can launch that can clear a screen, and so I really like this game. It's difficult though. Really like the boss fights in this game, and it's fun to play. If you have the opportunity to check out this game, it's definitely one of the better TurboGrafx 16 releases. You won't be disappointed. Streets of Rage 2 is hands down one of my favorite Sega Genesis titles. You know, when brawlers were all the craze, Sega released Streets of Rage and then followed it up with this amazing game. When I first saw the screenshots in magazines of the time, I was astonished at, really Sega in the early 90s was doing everything right. And with the Sega Genesis, one of my favorite consoles of all time, and this is one of my favorite Sega Genesis games. This was fun to play with a friend. This was fun to play by yourself. And amazing graphics, awesome sound, and still holds up today. Even though it wasn't truly innovative, it really was taking some of the awesome games at the time and just making it a better experience. I thought it was a little bit faster than Final Fight, which came out earlier, but I thought that Sega improved upon it with better gameplay and faster mechanics. Up next is my favorite Sonic game, Sonic CD. Sonic CD really was, I think, one of the best 2D Sonics made. It had some great music, awesome animation, and this is a game that I had for my Sega CD back in the day, so I got to experience this when it came out, and it's just an awesome Sonic game. It has lots of different features in it that are unique to it. You can go in the past, present, and future. So this feature of going into the past and the future is really cool because it changes how you play the game. In the event that you complete a level with over 50 rings, you get to go to a bonus stage. And so there's just lots of cool extras in this. I think it had some of the better graphics for Sonic. It really, to me, was one of the better games released for the Sega CD. One of my all-time favorite Nintendo games is Super Mario Bros. 3. I remember seeing this game back when The Wizard was released, and my mind was blown. I was like, how are they making this game on the Nintendo Entertainment System? I mean, Super Mario Bros. 3, in my opinion, is a near perfect game. It's taking everything that was cool about the original Mario Brothers and just taking it to the next level. This was a time in which things were still evolving, gameplay mechanics. This is a time where I feel Nintendo really had mastered the platform game, and this is just the next evolution of things. If you're looking for one of Nintendo's finest creations, look no further than Super Mario Bros. 3. Up next is one of my favorite fighting games, Samurai Shodown 2. I remember playing this in college. We had an arcade cabinet in our cafeteria, and this is something that I enjoyed playing. Absolutely fantastic fighting game. I think this is one of Neo Geo's best. I'm happy to say that this game holds up to this day. Whenever I see this game in the arcades, I do stop and attempt to play it. I think it's a wonderful fighter and an example of how amazing SNK did some of the very best 2D fighting games, and this is something that I still play to this day and highly recommend it. Of all the Samurai Shodown games, I think this is one of the best. Up next is the Ninja, and this is a game that I rented back in the day when I had my Sega Master System. This is an adaptation of an arcade game, and what I like about these types of ports is they made the game different for home release. And in this version, you have to grab green scrolls to get to the final boss. It's a very, very challenging game, but it's a good example of an early run and gun game. There you go. Got to grab the green scroll. You have to grab all 5 green scrolls to get to the boss of the final stage. You can't go wrong with the Ninja. One of my all-time favorite games is Robotron 2084. This is a game that I love playing all the time. I probably play this game more than any other game. This game is total chaos, and I enjoy it. I enjoy the gameplay mechanics very much of this. And there's so many awesome ways of playing this game. If you have a dual joystick setup, this game has been ported to many things. There's many different versions of this game. The Atari 7800 version is excellent, But you never can go wrong with the arcade, which started it all. One strategy with this game is to collect as many humans as possible on each stage, racking up enormous bonuses, which eventually will get you multiple lives. You can lose lives very quickly in this game. Totally recommend it. So there you have it. Those are my favorite classic video games. What are yours? Comment below, as I would love to hear from you some of your timeless classics that you enjoy to play, that you grew up with. As always, I want to thank everybody for the ongoing positive support. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. This is the Immortal John Hancock. Thank you so much, and you take care.